White people don't know not to be like, yes, slay honey queen when I walk in. That's weird.
Just to clarify, I assume that when you walk in, a better version is like, hi.
Oh my God, right, yes.
Something like that?
Hey, how are you? Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I thought
Or they'll be like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with you. I'm like, I didn't do anything.
I'm just here. What? I'm obsessed with your difference, and I want to make you really aware of it.
Right? So it just like doesn't make me horny.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
Dick wipes. Yes, I am telling you about Promescent's new dick wipes. These wipes will help you last longer in bed and take up no more space than a condom. Buy Promescent's new delay wipes today at Promescent, PROMESCENT.com. Are you looking to start a podcast? Want to use audio as a marketing tool for your small business? Enjoy free credits when you use my promo code Billy at Libsyn.com. That's Libsyn, LIBSYN.com, or click the link in the show notes. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
What's up, you sluts, you cucks, you bi babes, you left lesies. I'm even going to throw in the side-eyed allies out there. This is Billy Procida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the show. If you're new, welcome back. If you're not, this week's guest I've got on fellow sex-positive content creator Gabrielle Alexa. Going to be chatting with her about play parties, bisexuality, and polyamory in just a little bit. But first, remember when that used to be show dates, people? Show dates? One day, I'm taking my time. We'll be there. Something I didn't take my time on is I did finally shoot with, swoon, Angel Amore. Y'all may remember them from their Man Whore Podcast episode a few weeks back. Finally shot some really hot content, so make sure you are following me on my free OnlyFans so you don't miss when those videos drop. And you can follow that at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. I went on a first date on Thursday. It's my first date that didn't have to do with some sort of elaborate Reddit blindfolded, leave the doors propped open kind of scene. There was no gangbang involved. There was no meeting in a public place and tapping our toes together to know it's a go. No, just like a normal, hey, let's go to a bar and grab a drink kind of date. It's been a minute since I've done one of those. And wow. When I go on a first date with someone who I perceive to be like far more left-leaning, progressive than me, someone who may have an intersection of identities that may have them be a little bit more on guard because my face, I tend to, drop a few little virtue signals here and there. I feel like that's, virtue signaling gets a bad rap because a lot of people tend to overdo it and they do it for their own insecurity, as opposed to me, who I'm just trying to convey, hi, I know what my face looks like. And I know that because of that, you may not assume I believe X, Y, or Z. So here's just a couple subtle little hints. I find that it tends to let some people's guard down a little bit. Of course, everything can be abused. As my friends over at Polyamory say, don't weaponize this shit. But if you're a man who may be perceived as a straight guy, if you're a guy who Andrea Allen wouldn't date, aka you weigh more than 140 pounds, we can't live in a vacuum and be like, well, I'm one of the good guys. I'm never going to hurt. I'm never going to this. Because, the more I have to interact with men in sexual spaces like OnlyFans and shit, gosh, is it trash. At first I was like, come on, we're not all like that. But at this point, I'm kind of like, the numbers seem to show that there's at least a good reason to suspect I may think or feel a certain way about certain topics. So I don't know. I like to drop little things here and there on a first date, so we kind of get that stuff out of the way. And it's a good thing I did, because this person was not just more left-leaning than me. I mean, she shared, yeah, in high school and college, I really identified as an anarchist, and then I grew up, and I was like, oh, okay, wow. I had to answer a little questionnaire about how I felt about capital punishment. Gosh, it was a little stressful, but at the same time, she was so condescending and dommy that somehow, some way, don't know how this happened, but I I fell into subspace at the bar. I guess she just scratched the back of my head and called me puppy in just the right tone of voice. That it was this weird incantation that next thing I know, I open my eyes and I am in her apartment on her living room floor on my knees, just awaiting instruction. And you know what the instruction was? She just sat in front of me and petted me and gave me like affirmations and told me to take care of myself. What? How dare you tell me to do something like eat kale? But it was really fucking hot. Oh gosh, it's subspace. I do not get to visit often, but when I do, it's like going to a very expensive spa. So we'll see what sort of adventures may happen with this person. It looks like she may be around for a hot minute. Before I get to this week's guest, Gabrielle Alexa, let's do a quick fan horror appreciation moment. Okay, just showed some appreciation for a Brazilian chick who put me into subspace in a public place, and now let's show some appreciation for the fan whores who keep this podcast going on Patreon. I want to give a shout out right now to Ryoko Dono. Hey, can you help me cosplay as likable? I need some assistance with that. And you seem like you know what you're doing. Hey, thank you so much for supporting the Man Whore Podcast on Patreon. Thanks for being a member. And I hope that you too know that you can support the Man Whore Podcast for just $2 a month. Yeah, that's all it takes to make my day and make it possible for me to do this full time, to write, to create, to podcast, to go on some wild adventures and come back and share them with you. Join Fan Whore Nation and become a member today at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And if you want to join Fan Whore Nation, but you don't got extra dollars to spare, be sure to join us in the Champagne Room, our super sex positive, super fun, super friendly Discord server. We had a recent question of the day about jealousy and how you handle it, whether you're monogamous or non-monogamous. Because, hey, jealousy, it's not just for the non-monogs. It's for you monogamous people who are worried that your significant other is banging someone at work too. Introduce yourself today at manwhorepod.com/Discord. By the way, a little note for a lot of you. You know, when you join the Discord server, you do have to read the channel that says must read. You will not be able to gain access to all the other channels and spaces if you do not read the section that is called must read. It's how we keep the space safe for everybody. That's why when you go to Hacienda, you have to go to that consent workshop at 9:30 instead of when the doors open at 10. We all got to read the rules at least once, so we all know we're on the same page, so we all know we're following the same rules. And now for this week's guest, Gabrielle Alexa. You know, what's there to say? She is a black, bi, poly, sex-positive content creator. She has bylines about sex and dating all over the interwebs. She is the author of How to Live with the Internet and Not Let It Ruin Your Life. And apparently we have the same taste in sex parties. This was a really fun one. It was so fun. We've got a bonus episode coming out tomorrow exclusively on Patreon, where we're going to talk even more just about internet dating. She's got an interesting perspective on that as a software developer. Let's go find out why sex parties are so fucking white with Gabrielle Alexa. Is your New Year's resolution to start that podcast? Could your small business benefit from having its own show? Libsyn has provided podcast hosting services since before they were even called podcasts. That's why the top indie podcasters host their shows with Libsyn. Sometimes people like to go for like a sexy free option, but hey, you get what you pay for. When something goes wrong with my feed, I trust Libsyn's experienced customer support team to take care of it. And they have hosting plans that start at as little as $5 a month. So if you're finally going to buy that Blue Yeti mic and spew your deranged thoughts across the internet, you need a Libsyn account to get it done. And you can get free credits for using my promo code BILLY when you sign up at Libsyn.com. Again, use the code BILLY, BILLY, at Libsyn, LIBSYN.com, or click the link in the show notes. To everyone with a dick who likes to last longer in bed, you know I've been telling you about Promescent's game-changing delay wipes. Yeah, easy to carry wipes. You can pack them with the condoms, swipe one on your cock so you can feel good and enjoy the sexual experience for longer. But did you know that they carry like a whole line of premium sexual wellness products? Yeah, condoms, lubes. I have a whole box of ball wipes in my bathroom for when I bring a date home and I want to quickly freshen up. You don't want to enter subspace with stanky balls. Promescent is really your one-stop shop to be better in bed. I just checked their website again, and it looks like they've teamed up with top sex toy companies like WeVibe to offer even more for your cart. You know, it's like, hey, show up for the delay spray, leave with supplements, lubes, condoms, and toys. I can't think of a better place to shop for a better sexual experience. Be better in bed at promescent.com. Again, visit Promescent, PROMESCENT.com. And don't forget to let them know the Man Whore Podcast sent you. Now let's get to the show.
So I started dating one of my current partners a month before the pandemic, and that was, the most beautiful month of just fun, new relationship energy, sluttiness. And then the pandemic hit, and then we were just closed in our apartment for months. So it felt like we got super comfortable and super antisocial. So it was so difficult to then be like, okay, I think we're going to start going back on dates with people. And so that's why when I went on Red Table Talk, I was like, oh, I still feel very new because I had this huge break in my polyamory. But before that, I was like exclusively dating triad-y situations or like, yeah.
And you've been doing that for like a while before that?
For a while. Every once in a while, I would be like, never mind. I'm in love with this one person and I'm going to do monogamy for a second. And then and then it would blow up in my face. And then I'd be like, anyway, so I'm going to go back to what I was doing before this interrupted. And then I had a light bulb moment where I was like, what if I just dated in the way that I date in between monogamous relationships? And I haven't gone back. This has been great.
And is the difference like, what if I let myself like the people, like casually fuck a little more?
Well, I always liked them.
Well, I mean, it's good to like someone you bang, but I mean, like,
right. I think that the difference is when I was only joining couples who I don't think had the language of non-monogamy. They were just like, we're looking for a unicorn, and I was like, okay, me. I was never achieving equality in those relationships. I was just kind of like an accessory to those relationships. So when I stopped dating in that way, so like still polyamory, still non-monogamy, but dating independently of my partners, I feel like that is when things shifted.
How was that first like dating a couple situation where you were seeking the equality?
Okay, so I just didn't for a while think that it was possible for a couple to do that. At this point now, I think that there are some couples who are probably great at a triad or throuple or whatever the language is for that. But it just seems like there's so many moving parts. There's like 3 different relationships that you have to cultivate simultaneously, plus like one group relationship, and it just doesn't seem. Not that it's not worth it. For a certain person, it could be worth it, but I don't think that it's worth it for the amount of work you have to put in, at least for my life, at least for me.
Yeah, a lot of people will be like, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. And then it's like, well, yeah, you have to determine if like you want to do that work for that outcome or if it's like not worth it, and for some it is, some it's not. For me, I love heavy conversations because like I was like trained to do that for 4 years of a weird alternative boarding school. And so I was like, cool, like, wait, we all don't just talk about our feelings for 3 hours at a time with each other.
Right. And I love that with like one partner, but I feel like it's so difficult when you have 3 different people with 3 different agendas plus like one group agenda to consider. And I'm not saying I would never ever consider a couple in that way again, but I would just be a lot more intentional about it. So I haven't since then, and it has really benefited my life. So it's hard to be like, ooh, a couple.
Well, I'm here right now with Gabrielle Alexa, a fellow sex positive content creator, author of the book How to Survive the Internet.
How to live with the internet and not let it run your life.
Sorry, when I think about being on the internet, I'm just thinking about like, how do I survive on here without breaking my brain?
I broke my brain for a little bit, but then I came back, So I wrote a book about that experience.
Does dating come up much in that?
Of course, dating comes up a lot. In fact, I wish I could even go back and add more to it because now I work for a dating app and I have even more.
Are you allowed to say which app you work for?
No, but I work for a dating app and I feel like oh my God, I should like care about NDAs, but I mean, I have a Finsta. Who doesn't? And my Finsta knows everything. Like if they wanted to betray me, they could. So maybe I should take NDAs a little bit more seriously.
I think I fucked up starting using the internet because I thought we were sincerely supposed to just overshare. And so it's too late for me to have the Finsta because I feel like I put so much shit I shouldn't have out on the main. So I'm like kind of leaning into like, I guess I'm just someone who is on main for better or for worse.
Well, it's not like my Finsta is like sex stuff because that's my main. I put my feelings on my Finsta. That's what I'm like. Oh, that's too much. I don't want people to know about those.
I mean that, yeah. I mean, I used to do that on Twitter, and people would be like, "Are you sad?" I'd be like, "I mean, I'm trying to be funny about it, but like."
No, same. And I wish someone would have been like, "Hey, girl, you are sad. You should do something about that," because I went on antidepressants. Bitch, it's completely different. I didn't even know I was depressed. Like when my psychiatrist was like, "So we're gonna start you on Zoloft," I was like, I really don't need that. I really just want Ritalin or Adderall, like whichever one you want to do. And he was like, okay, what if we did that one after the Zoloft? Like we'll check back in. And I was like, okay. And then a couple weeks passed and I was like, hey, you were spot on with the Zoloft. My bad. Oops.
How long you been rocking the Zoloft?
Oh my God, I'm on like a month and a half now.
Oh, it's like really new.
Real new. Ooh, and now I wish I could take back all my depressed tweets. My bad. Somebody should have reached out.
Are you already seeing effects like in your dating life with that? I also hear things about like with drugs like that. I don't know how Zoloft is, but I just, you obviously hear about antidepressants and libido. So I didn't.
Well, I still have libido. It's really hard to come. Ugh.
That's the side effect?
Yeah, like I wish I could come at the same intensity that I used to, but happiness is actually invaluable. So who knew?
That's so interesting because I feel I think some people you propose the hypothetical, you choose happiness or coming hard, and people think they want to choose coming hard.
Oh no, I told my psychiatrist I want to still come, and he was like, we can revisit if it's a significant problem, and it's not a significant problem. I can still come. Just like I used to come for no reason. Like I was, it was like really easy. Like I could like, kind of like think my way into an orgasm. And now I'm like, oh, I have to like work at an orgasm.
I'm so sorry for the new struggle to be added to your life.
It's a way better struggle than being depressed.
Yeah.
Who knew? So yeah.
What got you to finally get onto antidepressants?
My cousin passed away and I was really sad about it. But I was like, well, shit happens. Like we all have things to be sad about. So I don't think that this is an unusual thing. But I was leaning a lot on my friends and my partners. And they were like, you should talk to a psychiatrist. And then I spoke to my therapist and she was like, you should talk to a psychiatrist. And I was like, fine, I'll go to the fucking psychiatrist. And then the psychiatrist was like, yes, you should be on Zoloft. And then I like checked back in with everyone and I was like, did you guys know I was depressed? And they were like, yeah. Woo!
Did you know, like, have your partners been noticing a difference or anything like that?
Yes. They're like, wow, you're really happy now.
Wait, so they were just like, they were knowingly be like, I guess I'm just like dating the sad woman.
Apparently, honestly, yeah. Yeah. And then I remember telling a story where I was like, oh, like this person pulled me out of my depression. And my girlfriend was like, okay. And then so now she's like, yeah, you said that. And I was like, oh, she doesn't know she's depressed. Anyway, I feel way better now. And I do still have a libido. I'm going to a sex party tonight. Like, woo.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Hacienda.
I'm going to Hacienda.
Oh my God, it's so annoying.
That's the first time that this has happened, and I am actually genuinely surprised. It's taken 400 plus episodes for it to be like, are we going to the same orgy tonight? That's amazing.
Wow.
That's how long you've been going to Hacienda?
I only went once before. I'd been to other venues, but this is my second time at Hacienda specifically, and it's like,
Okay. Where else do you go if you're able to share names?
I'm not going anywhere else. I'm like shopping. I really do want like a very queer POC sex party. So sometimes when I go to Hacienda and I like it, it's a very beautiful, decadent environment.
Oh yeah.
But I'm always like, there's only 3 black people here. I don't want to be one of 3. And then all the black people kind of like link up in the corner like, hey, like, do you guys want to fuck tonight or you want to come back later? And it's always like, ugh, like I want there to be a lot more diversity in my options when I go out. Because I fuck white people, but like, I don't want to only fuck white people. Like, holy shit. So I'm shopping around right now for like a queer POC space. So that's why I'm not tied to any place. That's why I was like, ugh,
You're a sex party free agent.
Right now, well, I'm going to Hacienda tonight because there's no other. I don't know.
Yeah, you're shopping around. You're letting people put on their best face for you and be like, oh, we're gonna see which one hits. I do know Hacienda's like, because that's definitely a frequent piece of feedback I hear for people who want like in the New York sex party scenes. Like, it's very white.
It's just so white.
It's not as white as Swingerland, but it's still pretty white.
Yeah. Yes. And I've only really been to spaces that were really white, and I just keep hearing that there's like a pop-up party or something here and there that people go to, and they'll be like, it was so great to have like so many. Wink will like do pop-ups, and I think that one's like queer POC, but they don't have like a venue. They will like throw it at like they've like thrown one at Hacienda or at some other place, something like that. Yeah, but they're also, because they are typically pop-ups, more expensive, so it's like I'm shopping around. I'll find a place. I know I'll find my home.
Like what? But like it's not that like only white people want to go to sex parties, right? It's like, but why then are so many sex parties out of here so white?
I think my feeling when I go to white spaces that are not perhaps aware of their whiteness, and then they see me walk in, they're like, oh my God, yes, queen slay, honey. Like, I can't wait. Like, you're so curvy. Love your hair. And I'm like, all right, I gotta go. I have to leave. So I feel like that is probably happening like a lot of different micro times, and that is what pushes people away. Like, it's hard. I imagine it's hard to change that culture. Like, you're not doing like racial equity lessons before the sex party, but it's like white people don't know not to be like, yes, slay, honey, queen when I walk in. That's weird.
Just to clarify, I assume that when you walk in, a better version is like, hi.
Oh my God, right? Yes.
Something like that.
Hey, how are you? Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I thought.
Or they'll be like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with you. I'm like, I didn't do anything.
I'm just here. I'm obsessed with your difference, and I want to make you really aware of it.
Right. So it just like doesn't make me horny. Ugh.
Of course, I would imagine.
So annoying.
But like, like what, like, I mean, not that like you are responsible to like change such things yet, but we are on the podcast. So I'm just like, is there anything like you think, like somewhere like Hacienda or any sort of like play party community, if they realize that about themselves, like, are there things that can be done to help with that? Is it kind of like a lost cause when the ball's already moving and like a space just needs to start from the ground up? Like,
I don't think it's a lost cause. I think hiring people, like if your staff is diverse, that already sets a tone for the space, and setting rules about safety as they apply to people of color. And I think, accessibility information when you announce events and like incorporating all of that into your marketing, that would already like be a huge step forward. I can't think of anything else, just off the cuff, but I feel like that there are a whole bunch of things that could be done, and I don't mean to say that I don't think Hacienda is doing them, because I think to a degree they have started. I don't know.
I see them trying to make some attempts, as much as you see that people try to,
right.
But it's like I've never heard someone, reply like, refer to like say like safety standards or safety talks, like, but in the realms of how it applies to race, we always think about like in consent, like physical safety, like how are we going to make sure everyone's like physically safe, or someone's not like maybe not being physically unsafe but they're still being like kind of fucked up, creepy.
They give a whole seminar when you go to Hacienda the first time, right? Like all they had to do was
go to it tonight for my girlfriend.
Oh man,
it's her first one.
Oh my God, I get to meet her. Oh, yeah. But yeah, they go through all of that, and then the end of it, they could just be like, and now you shouldn't go touch a black person's hair who's in the space. That'd be weird. Right. That would be nice to say. That'd be really helpful. Or like even commenting on my hair makes it difference. Being like, oh my God, so like, is that a wig? Is that like, Don't say anything about anyone's hair. I wish, like, you could just slide that in at the end of the consent workshop, and I think it would fit. So, like, I remember the first sex party, not the first, like, the first New York sex party that I went to, I was like, this is weird. I'm going to go get food. And they were like, we'll come with you. And I was like, please don't fall. I was like, I'm just going to go to the McDonald's and come back. They're like, oh my God, people all go with you to McDonald's.
Wait,
like,
hold on. You were going to have McDonald's, like, mid-sex party?
I, like, wanted a snack, like, to make myself feel better about the environment. And I was like, I'm going to go get fries. And they were like, oh my God, we'll all go get fries. I was like, I didn't ask for company on my secret French fry mission. Oh my God.
Do you walk into a room and everyone just thinks like, well, you're clearly the cool person then?
It's a great responsibility, you know?
Is it tiring to be so cool, unknowingly, right? Like,
yeah. Anyway, we got the fries, we came back, and then I was like, I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
But Hacienda has food, so that's, you know, I don't have to leave now.
Hacienda goes all out on food.
Oh my God, Hacienda has the best food. I could go just for the food and be like, I had a good time.
And worth the price of admission. Like, where else could you eat food surrounded by people fucking?
That ass.
Like, good food.
Yeah, like, I mean, I might, like, you know, try to grab a titty or two, but, like, you know, just for food and music, it's a lit night. We are not sponsored by Hacienda. I'm so sorry. It's just so funny that you're going.
It's well, because, like, so, you know, I totally get it when you say you're shopping around. Like, we're, you know, shopped around for different reasons, but, you know, Hacienda was the first proper play party I'd been to. It was my first group sex encounter, but my first, like, play party. And right off the bat, it was the vibe I needed. It's low key. You can hang out, just like you said. You could go just for the food and like hang out with some people. Never take your clothes off and have a great time.
Yeah.
And that's what I need, because, like I said, like, I'm not good in like a high pressure fuck environment. I don't like to feel like I need to do a thing to fit in. And just Hacienda was that right away. So I never really went to many other parties. Like, I know of a lot of other parties, but I don't go because I'm like, I found my people. I found the place I want to be at. And so, I mean, like, I hope Hacienda ends up being that for you, but I hope more importantly that you find whatever the party is that, like, you're like, this is it.
Well, even if I do find, you know, my forever home in terms of play parties, I think I'll still go back to Hacienda. Yeah. Like, it's a gorgeous venue, and I love their consent education, and I see they have like classes and stuff. I want to pop in, like, not to fuck people, like, just to see a class or two, but I will still continue to shop around for now. And before I went to anything in New York, I had been invited to a PR trip to Hedonism in Jamaica. They don't have no consent education, no rules. Like, I was like, everyone's fucked up because it's a resort. And I went into the playroom just to see what it was like. I mean, beautiful playroom in there. And this girl comes up to me and she's like, do you like girls? And I was like, oh my God, absolutely. What's up? And she was like, do you want to fuck me and my man? And I was like, no, I would love to fuck you, but I don't want to fuck you and your man. And she was like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I left, came back. She's like, are you sure you don't want to fuck me? Are you sure you don't want to fuck my man? So then finally she's like, you can just fuck me. And I was like, ugh, all right, let's go. And then we're like, you know, fucking a little bit. We're like not even fully fucking. We're like half fucking. And then I see her man like around the corner, like peeking around the wall to check. He's like, is it time yet?
Oh, he said that?
Like that. Well, that's the vibe that I got. He didn't actually say it, but I could like. That's
He's holding a condom, peeking out, be like, no,
like okay. Right. And then so then she pulled back to be like, oh, like, are you sure you don't want to? Like, she was trying to get me like horny and then ask, and I was like, oh, now I don't want to fuck you anymore. And we got in this huge fight, and I was with, I don't know if you know Sophie. I feel like you probably know Sophie St. Thomas.
Oh yeah, she's been on the show. I got her book somewhere in there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And Sophie was like, are you good? I was like, no, I'm mad. I was a little torn. So I was like, I'm mad. And then I walked around the resort and I was so mad that I just like kept meeting strangers and telling them what happened, being like, oh, this fucking unicorn hunters. So the next day at breakfast, everyone has breakfast in the same room. And I walk into breakfast and everyone's like, hey, bitch, are you okay? Because you were screaming up and down the resort about unicorn hunters for 3 hours. I was like, oh my God, my fault.
I went to a Desire Resort and a similar thing. It's like the most they'll do with like consent stuff is like, hey, like, please, pretty, please don't rape anybody. But like, that's really about it.
That's about
We're not going to really define what that is because that may give us liability. But just like, you know, pretty, please. And so it's like, it's uncomfortable. And those resorts are so, it's such like an amalgamation of types because you got like the typical swingers. You got people who are just going to go because they're like, hey, we want to be somewhere sexy. Maybe we'll have a threesome or something by accident, but whatever. You got people who are just like, experienced sluts. You got the like really ethical sex pos types, the poly people, who, by the way, I didn't realize swingers sometimes. I met so many swingers who were intimidated by poly people because they're nervous that the poly people will steal one of the partners for love. Like someone said, hey, we're poly, but we're not using that word here because people may not want to just fuck us because they think we're going to fuck them to try to date them because we're poly.
What? Now we got reverse stigma. But anyway. Great.
Yeah, love inviting. But those resorts are just kind of wild because, like, I think people who go to a hacienda versus someone who goes occasionally to, say, like a Caligula type of place versus a Florida swingers who vote for Trump. They all have these different views on what consent is and what is like good etiquette and such, and how to approach a third in like a way that's. Yeah, we want to fuck we want a unicorn, but like we don't want to be assholes about it, and no one's getting on the same page. And I like Hacienda, this thing where, hey, for tonight, we're all gonna be on this page. Whatever page you do at home, this is the Hacienda page at Hacienda tonight. I think more parties should do that. Where there should be an NSFW page. When you go to NSFW, this is the page. You're there. Please.
What happened?
They can't see what I saw. I saw it. I enjoyed seeing what I saw. Would love to hear more if you're comfortable.
I just don't bangs with them. I don't know if they've realized, but I don't like the page they're on.
What kind of page is it that you don't like?
So I didn't like the white people. And I know a lot of other Black people have complained about the same weird vibe there. And they have done a lot of shit to people in the sex positive community that seems very exploitative or trying to cover things up. And I don't bangs with it. I don't go to NSFW, but also they're in the city. It's so far. Right.
So those resorts can sometimes have a similar vibe. And again, people on different pages. So what else? I haven't been to Hedonism. I don't know if you've been to Desire, but anything else notable about Hedonism you think we should know? You were there to like write a piece or something?
I was there to write a piece. But I will say that you're right. They have so many different types of non-monog people there. And I think it's very geared towards the type of old person who has no idea what sex positivity is because they're not online. And they're like, this is their like first vacay. And they're just like, ooh, let's add a little spice to our relationship. So they, I think, want the staff to kind of push them out of their comfort zone versus I don't want to be pushed out of my comfort zone. I'm exactly where the fuck I want to be. And I'm coming in with like a clear intent. Because that's what consent is for me, is knowing what I want before I come in and then trying to honor that while I'm in the space. So I don't want anyone to be like, are you sure? Come on, let's go. Like, I don't want anyone on a microphone asking me to step up on a stage. And like, I don't want to play any like weird icebreaker games to like loosen the mood. Like, I already know what my desires and intentions are. And I just want them to be respected. And they don't have that atmosphere at all.
I think that's the big one. And that's whether I'm on like a first date or something or at a resort. It's like if I have what I have in mind, I just want my limits respected that I say. I just don't know why that's
it's not complicated. Yeah. So
like if someone says a limit to me, like I think there's always room for a one, are you sure, depending on the thing. But like anything past that, do you really want to convince someone to fuck? I don't want to convince someone to fuck. That's not hot.
And I will say that a lot of the older people who are going there, they are going to be convinced. Like they want someone to give them permission to do something bad.
Yeah.
And it's like they're like consenting to that interaction, but I'm not. So I wish that there was like more of a clear definition of the space.
What was your introduction to group sex or play parties?
That was my introduction. That was it.
Hedonism was the first time you were around like a bunch of naked people like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, ooh, free trip. They were like, come to Hedonism. We're doing an influencer cooking competition to make jerk chicken. My family is from the Caribbean. Okay. So like jerk chicken is something I knew how to make very young. So I was like, I could beat some white people at jerk chicken. Like, sure. I lost, honestly, which was so disrespectful.
Ow.
The annoying unicorn hunter was like the table over for me competing as well. And I was like, oh, this bitch.
How did it feel like being naked in front of being there in that kind of group sexual environment for the first time?
Well, at first I was excited. I was like, this is the best day of my life. I can't fucking believe it. It just felt like it felt like I was feeding my inner child because it was also an all-inclusive resort. I've never been to an all-inclusive resort before. So I was like, I can just go to the bar and get a drink and then like drop it and then get another drink. If you go to the beach, there's like towels on the beach. It felt like there was just like a little invisible assistant running around behind me, just like anticipating my needs. And I was like, this is the best day of my life. But as soon as I left the resort, And I was reflecting. I was like, oh my God, I was like naked in front of strangers. And then I had this whole shame spiral on the plane.
Oh no.
I know. And then,
But at least it came afterwards.
yeah, I was like, you could, because then you're at the airport and everyone has fucking clothes on. And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
And it's like the same people. You're like,
No, it's not
No?
the same. It's like
Okay.
now you're at the airport with someone's grandma and they're like sitting around and you're just like, oh, so the fantasy is like over. And I feel like that like vibe shift is like very jarring for the first time.
absolutely.
And so I was on the plane and I was like, I'm not doing okay. Like all the influencers are like, it's okay. And then I got home, I wrote a poppin' piece about it. And then I really worked through that. And now I go to sex parties.
Sick. and now you're also practicing polyamory.
What does practiced mean though? You know what I mean?
Fair. I think of it as like, say, I have the capacity to have multiple romantic relationships. I have the capacity to like love more than one person at the same time. My present relationship, we're doing non-monogamy, but we're not opening it up for other romantic connections. In very large part, this is her first proper non-monogamous relationship. So I'm not trying to.
No rush.
Yeah, there's no rush. Can always open things back up, right? You can always start too fast. I don't think you can ever start too slow because you can always just like accelerate more.
I think you could start too slow. If you're like setting training wheel boundaries and then just letting those be boundaries forever, that could be too slow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if it's slower than what you need, but I think there can be more harm. Tell me if you disagree. If you started way too fast than needed versus like if you start a little slow and then you wanted to rev up. I feel like it's harder to slow things down. I think it's harder sometimes to put shit back in a box than to like open the box faster or something like that.
You know, maybe I'm an idealist, but I do think if you have great communication that you could go in either direction and be okay as long as like the way that you're talking is respectful and as long as you're like, you know, making sure not to make your discomfort your partner's responsibility, but also as long as as the partner is like, your discomfort is not my responsibility, but also I care about you, so how can we make this work? I feel like as long as you have that, you could go in either direction and you'll be okay. That's
such a hard part, and that's actually something I'm struggling with right now, where your the partner's discomfort is not my responsibility and I want to support. Can you like share a little bit more on that? Like, what does that all mean to you, and what's the differentiation of that?
I never said that I was good at it. I just said that as long as that is the case, I think, you know.
Have you had some growing pains with that?
Of course. Yeah. I think I'm a recovering people pleaser. So it's so hard when someone is expressing discomfort, even if they're saying that it's not your responsibility. You're like, oh, like, well, okay, I can be a little bit more cautious in this area and I could go a little slower in this area. But, you know, you want an egalitarian relationship and you want your partners to feel free to do their stuff. But if you're being cautious because you want to respect their discomfort, but then they are still doing non-monogamy, then you resent them. You're like, you got to go on 4 dates this week and I didn't have any discomfort, but like then as soon as I went, I had to help you with your discomfort, and that is so stressful. So then, you know, at first I was like, this is so unfair, but then I was like, but at the end of the day, like, what, by people pleasing, how did I contribute to this problem, and how can I take my power back and still provide care and support, but also like not breed resentment in my relationship? And I think that's like, I hope I'm making it clear that this is two people's work and it's not just one person facing discomfort while the other person is just a people pleaser. Like there's like a give and take.
Especially when one person, quote unquote, didn't do something wrong, right? It's like no one broke a rule. Right. It's still, someone's still feeling uncomfortable about it. And then like towing that line of like, I want to enjoy the thing I'm very much allowed to do, and I want to take care of this person, preferably after I'm done having my own individual encounter. And also so that this person over here does not feel like me completing and enjoying this encounter is some sort of continuation of disrespect towards them. Right. That's really tough to kind of talk out and talk through.
It's okay. You'll just have like an 8-hour processing conversation, and then you'll be like, oh my God, I love you. And they'll be like, oh my God, I love you too. And then you'll have sex and it'll be fun.
So those 8-hour processing conversations are not red flags to you?
Well, I move through them a lot faster now. And I think there is a lot of pressure to just like figure it all out in one take, and you don't actually have to do that. Like you don't have to keep talking until someone feels like there is a resolution. Sometimes you need to think for some time before there is a resolution. So I think there's also that. It's like it's like maybe we need to put this on pause and come back to this tomorrow. How can we just be communicative?
When you decided to like do more of polyamory, like more purposeful, like multiple romantic relationships, was there anything like you tried to like learn or take in to kind of get ready for that transition? Did you feel like you were pretty already well versed in communication from all these all those threesomes you were having?
Yeah, well, and I live in New York, so it's like all my friends were polyam or non-monog or cheating. So it was like, or sluts. So it was like, I think a lot of my work was accelerated by the spaces that I was occupying. And I just was like, I have to try it for myself. There's only so much research you can do before you know what your capacity for something is, or like what your discomfort is going to be. And
but I'm sure having all those friends sounds like you had this like these like resources and support systems that were also well versed in the thing. Like, you know, there are people who can be an emotional support, but if they don't know much about, say, non-monogamy, there's a limit on how much help they can offer.
I mean, yeah. Have you ever told like a normal polyam problem to your monog friend from childhood? And they're like, I don't even know what the fuck you're doing, but I like support, but like I cannot help you in this problem.
Like my girlfriend, all of her friends, like she's got one friend who like is a single one, but all of her other friends are in like multi-year monogamous, some of them marriages. Oh no! And I'm just like I throw here's some books, here's some podcasts if you want, whatever. Not too much, not pushy. But even I'm like, hey, how about like, even if you can get into like a Facebook group, a Discord server, if you can get into some sort of digital community.
Good digital communities. There's some good Discord servers. I really like how people are using Discord to create like sex positive spaces. And I wish I had the bandwidth to have my own, but I don't. I've learned. I tried it. But I also, I see that there's like a lot of meetups and stuff here in New York. I'm going to one on Monday. I think Tuesday, this week. And I think that's important too, is like, even if you don't have a friend that you can call in an emergency, to be able to just share space with other non-monog people and like be able to vent or just hear other people's stories, that's important.
Yeah. And it also helps you know, like, okay, here's other people where it's working. Like the thing I'm struggling through works though, as evidenced by all these people around me or all people in this server, or this Facebook group or this group chat or whatever. Yeah. And you get to hear that they like been through the same thing too. I think it's really easy to think like, oh God, I'm having this struggle and I'm like the only one who's had this struggle in this thing. Right. I'm the only one who's felt jealous in this way. And oh no. But it's like, nah, like plenty of people have. But you just don't hear about it often. You'll hear about it at the office.
And there is a culture online of all these new like non-monogamy accounts acting like they don't experience jealousy, or like I think just focusing on like, oh, like my husband came home and he had just been on 7 dates in a row. I haven't seen him in 2 weeks, but I was so happy for him. It's like, all right, like
that's like toxically positive.
Like, right. It's like, let's get rid of the toxic positivity. How are you guys moving through it? What are your agreements? Like, how are you experiencing discomfort at all? Or what was the pre-work that allowed you to be comfortable with that? Because I'm sure people would be comfortable in that context, but I'm sure that they did work in their relationship or work in their personal lives to get there. So what was that work? Yeah. Don't just skip to the part where everything's all gravy.
Yeah. I think there's like, so many people don't want to feel, and I'm noticing that like amongst us millennials and amongst the Gen Zers, like, oh gosh, I do not want to feel a bad emotion ever. We were a very overdiagnosed generation. But it's like, yo, like bad feelings are just part of living. That's part of human interaction. It's like, how are we going to handle when we're in them? Are we going to be toxic, or are we going to be like, try to be healthy when we're sad? And not, it's not bad if you've experienced a bad emotion. Just like you have to get through, and you have to have bad emotions to make the good emotions good. Good emotions are not as good as they are if there isn't like a bad on the other side of it. Otherwise, you're kind of living in this very narrow realm of like meta. Or you could be like all the way to and I don't know. Me, I think that's a more full life. So that's why I'm always like, I will take the bad shit because I know there's always like on the other end this like sort of balanced, super awesome one.
Yeah, I will say that whenever I do experience jealousy or discomfort, it is a great reminder that I like my partners. Like, that's why I'm experiencing it, is because I like them. I don't want to lose them. And I don't know if this is because I am dating great people and I have great taste, or if it's because of my polyamory. But this is the first time I've been in like really like long-term stable partnerships. And I'm just like, wow, like happy. I don't feel like bored. I'm not like, man, like we're just like this boring couple. I feel like super exciting, and I feel like my life has thrill and stuff, but it also has those comfortable moments. And I don't know how monogamous people, like, what are they doing to install that in their relationships? I can't even figure it out.
Someone, I'll just say someone close to me said recently that their therapist asked, as like they're working through some stuff, they were like, well, what do you think the benefits of monogamy are? And I was like,
I would be fascinated to hear someone's response.
I'd read a whole book. Because I can't imagine it's longer than a pamphlet at best. But like, I'm happy to hear it. Sorry, monogamous people, like, y'all are valid, I promise. But like, I'm confused by you, and that's okay.
I don't think everyone is good at polyamory or non-monogamy. So it's not that I'm trying to demand that the world shift to an entirely like non-monogamous structure. But what is the benefit of monogamy?
Yeah.
Like, at least in my life, I would be like, okay, so now we both don't fuck people. Does that guarantee that we have a really strong partnership?
Nope.
No, I dated so many people, and I think I fucking hated them. Like, I think in those relationships, I didn't like the people that they were. I feel like we were both just like, we don't like each other, so we're just going to make each other into our project for this year. And that's not an intentional, communicative, connective relationship.
What was the last monogamous relationship you were in? And how'd that go? Obviously it ended.
Okay. So like, I dated this girl. She was fine. That was it. I don't think we had a lot in common. So, and she was very controlling and like possessive from very early on.
Monogamous.
Right. But, well, not that that's synonymous with monogamous, but like she was like,
no, but just that like being monogamous did not prevent any sort of jealous feelings from making her be a little possessive and controlling over you.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
So I had already been like fucking couples before that. Right. So for me, I was like, I am choosing monogamy. And I think when I do that, it breeds a lot of resentment if that person is not fulfilling their end of the deal. Because I was like, bitch, I made sacrifices. I could have been getting DP'd. And you did what? So she was cheating. And she tattooed me though. Hey,
oh, God,
gay shit.
How the fuck is that? Does that hurt to look at on some days?
No, I had my actual tattoo artist like touch it up. So now it more feels like,
your own. Okay.
Right.
Good.
You know what I mean? And
look, at least you didn't tattoo her name onto you. You know that.
Oh, I would have never let that happen. And she also had her ex's name tattooed on her. So the first
How'd you feel about that?
So for the first couple times we fucked, she was covering it up with makeup. I was like, bitch, that is so dramatic. Like you. Anyway, she was really possessive, really, and she lied a lot. And then at one point when I had started, like, I was like, polyamory is really good for me. So I was like, have you considered polyamory since you have not been faithful in a relationship like since childhood? And she was like, I just like cheating. And I was like, bitch, what the fuck?
Who likes cheating?
So then she ghosted me, got married, then texted me, sorry I ghosted you and got married, then said her and her wife were separating. So we fucked. I was like, let me just, I was like, hey girl. And then they're still not divorced. So I'm stupid. So that was my last monogamous relationship, ? And then before that, I dated a man.
So sorry.
He was great. He was a benevolent misogynist. You know what I mean? Like he was always like paying for things, very gentlemanly. But he imagined like a future where I would stop dressing the way that I do. I threw out clothes that I had in that relationship, which was pretty wild. And he really wanted to like settle down and like get married. And I was like, I haven't even ate pussy yet, so you're gonna have to wait a little bit unless you're trying to open up this relationship temporarily. And he was like, I really don't want to do that. And then like immediately broke up with me. And I was so heartbroken. I was like, maybe if I hadn't been such a slut, I would be married to him. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, thank God I didn't get married.
We were talking actually off mic before. So you were on Red Table Talk.
I was. Ooh, I hope you saw it.
Everyone do a little golf clap for Gabrielle for golf for Red Table Talk. And you mentioned how like they did some cutting because hey, that happens on these types of shows, whatever. But you talked about jealousy and how you felt like what they cut you to say was like a little more simplistic than how you felt on the topic.
Yeah, on the show I'm saying like that I don't experience jealousy, basically. But I don't think I don't experience jealousy as in the feeling. I meant like the physical manifestations of jealousy.
And what are the physical manifestations of jealousy?
So I think when I was in monogamous relationships, I had a lot of like, if I'm making this sacrifice, this should have been a hint, but I was like, if I'm going to make this sacrifice, you better be making this sacrifice too. So when it seemed like I was being cheated on, I'd be like, I will go through this person's phone. Like, I'm going to look at their like Snapchat location, or like you develop all these like tools of checking up on a human being. And it honestly is like mentally exhausting. I think about like how much mental energy I was spending on like, where is this person right now? Where are they now? Who are they talking to? And it's like, it didn't protect me in any way from being lied to or for relationship agreements being betrayed. And it just like was like busy work. It kept me just busy. And I'm not getting paid to stalk my partners. So I was surprised that like when someone is actually communicating with me and it's like, hey, I really care about you. I'm going to go on a date tonight. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to watch like my little sci-fi shows that you don't like to watch. Great. And like, I know what I'm consenting to, and I know what the boundaries of that are. I don't have that same, like, let me look through someone's phone. Like, because why would I need to? I already have all the information. So that's what I was trying to convey on Red Table Talk. And when it was cut, I was just like, yeah. And I just found like, now I'm polyamorous and I don't experience jealousy at all, which is not accurate to my experience. Obviously, like a bitch gets jealous. Like I'm a human being, but
it's wild because I feel like Jada would have been all about the like, I'm making sacrifices. You better make. I don't know. I felt like she could have gotten into that like that kind of mantra. I feel like she could then co-opted and turned into a hashtag.
I am so confused because aren't they? Didn't
they like are, but they won't. They won't just say
like,
it.
Say it,
and their kids will say it about themselves because I think both the kids like aren't monogamous.
Yeah, well, Willow came out as polyamorous on the show, and I was like, yes, bitch. But like,
and I'm pretty sure the son's like also not a monogamous person for sure. But like,
he's not interesting enough for me to know anything about what he's doing. So sorry, but like, but
like they're like, well, are they? Come on, just say.
Right. So even when I was on set, I was like, so is someone going to confirm or deny for me? And it was the same energy on set where they were like, well, have you been on Google? I'm like, yeah, I've seen the headlines, but like, what's the real tea? And they were like, well, tell me something. Like, give me some information. Like, stop. Don't wink. Like, I need a yes or no. Just like blink twice if it's yes. Something.
You're watching interviews with Will Smith, just like look, they're trying to decode his eye blinking. Be like, are you trying to send a message, buddy? It's okay. I can't tell which. I think did Jada cheat? I feel like because it's clear like somebody cheated and it sparked something.
I don't think so. I think they were open. I like genuinely, I mean, I'm still confused. Because sometimes the headlines will be like, they were open. Or sometimes they'll say something and they're like, they were open. And then sometimes they'll say something that's like, no, we were monogamous. And I'm like, what the fuck is the truth?
Yeah. And so you were saying like, yeah, of course, you're as to quote you, a bitch gets jealous, right?
Gets jealous,
and so like, how do you process your own jealousy when you do feel it?
I think we're just like, ooh, I feel jealous. Anyway, I'm gonna go play video games. I don't know. It's like not like process sounds like, you know, that there's like more to it.
It's not that deep for you.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go watch a movie.
And then like, you know, by the credits, you're like, yeah, I think I'm all right.
And then I'm not even thinking about it. I have ADD, so maybe that's it. I just like confused myself. Now I'm like, oops, what was I thinking about? That could be it. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I started watching this great sci-fi show and I'll just rewatch that season.
That's dope. Gabrielle, thanks for chatting with us. Thanks for making some time.
Hey.
I know my table's not red or a circle or anything fun like that. I know, but you know, I'm happy you're still at it. But where could people go to find you and follow you and keep an eye out for your next book?
I am Gab Alexa on all platforms. My website was hacked, but I fixed it. So GabrielleAlexa.com is back up.
What they hack it into?
It's like when people like want to send spam emails, they will hack websites that already exist and just have those websites send out spam emails. So I was sending out like hundreds of spam emails. So they kind of
like co-opt whatever news like email list you have.
No, like they had their own list. So they like logged in, uploaded their own list, created their own emails. So you don't even notice that it's happening. But then my web host noticed and was like, you're sending like hundreds of spam emails every day. So we shut down your account. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Anyway, so I fixed it. I deleted them and I changed my password. I was using the same password from junior high, so that should have been my first.
That will do it.
first hint.
That will be a thing.
GabrielleAlexa.com works. And my first book, How to Live with the Internet and Not Let It Run Your Life, is out wherever books are sold. And I am still in the book proposal part of my second book. But when that shit drops, buy it.
Well, Gabrielle, thanks again for chatting with us. And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
Gabrielle Alexa, ain't she a hoot? Is it weird that's Billy saying hoot? Yeah, I'm just like a hip hot auntie at 52. What's up? If you enjoy my chit chat with her, we have got an exclusive bonus episode coming out on Patreon tomorrow, and we're just talking about online dating. And we're talking about, well, what apps could do to make the whole experience better. You can gain access to that bonus episode as well as over 200 other bonus episodes at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. It's also like the best way you can support me and the work that I'm doing. But if you're not a Patreon type of person and you don't like monthly debits, hey, I do accept Venmo and Cash App. I got handles in the show notes. I accept crypto. Just hit me up and I'll figure out how to send you my wallet address. That's still kind of new for me. And of course, if you would prefer to support my work, but you prefer to support the work where my dick is out, you can always check out my OnlyFans at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. I recently posted a really hot video of me jerking off in my car on my way to interview Rachel Steele. Gosh, gotta love those rest stops. I hope you all are enjoying your week. I hope you're doing something fun that makes you and or someone else or someone's else come hard. I guess it's me, encouraging you to go make people come hard that made this solicitor who was like, hey, we're looking for podcasts that, to join this network and we're going to make money together. And then I was like, yeah, I'm interested to hear more. And they were like, oh, wait, yeah, your show is kind of slutty. I don't think it's going to be a fit. That's what I'm up against, people. I'm too slutty to make money with other podcasts. That's why I need you. Go forth and be a fun slut this weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, aka Oops, We Murdered a Shit Ton of Native Americans Day. Oh gosh, this feels really, really weird to go right into, and stay slutty. Oh, Billy, why? It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout.